You can plant baby kale and have it ready to harvest from seed in 30 days. It's really easy, very rewarding, and you can use it in salads, smoothies, throw it in soups, however you enjoy your kale. So in this chapter, I'm gonna teach you all about growing and harvesting your own baby kale. So let's get planting. Baby kale is harvesting kale much earlier. A normal kale takes about a month and a half to 2 months to get full size where you get the bunches in the grocery store. So you're harvesting it within a month. So it doesn't get a chance to grow full size. It's in its baby stage. Today, we're gonna grow baby kale from seed, and I chose this variety pack because it's got a lot of different kale varieties. Got lacinato, curly kale, it's got this red Russian kale, Siberian. So before we plant the kale seeds, let's dive into everything you need to have a healthy and successful kale harvest. Your kale is going to need 6 to 8 hours of sunshine. So once you found that sunny spot in your yard, next, you have to make sure you give it the right soil. It's gonna need a nice, loose, nutrient-rich soil base. Today, I'm planting my baby kale in this raised bed. You can definitely plant in a pot, and you most certainly can plant it in the ground. So if you're planting baby kale in a pot, it really doesn't have to be that deep. It all depends on how much kale you want. So the bigger the pot, the more you can grow. It only really needs about 3 to 4 inches of soil because we're leaving it in the baby stage and the roots are not gonna get deep. So now that you found the perfect place in your yard that's getting 6 to 8 hours of sunshine and you have prepped your growing space with the beautiful soil mix that you need, now it's time to plant some seeds. When I'm growing baby kale, I like to create rows in the soil. It makes harvest much easier. And we're gonna be putting down a lot of seeds. So let me show you guys how small these seeds are, right? Because these seeds are really small, we don't wanna bury them deep. So the trench or the row that I'm gonna make in the soil, it's only gonna be about 1/8 to 1/4 of an inch deep. And I'm gonna use my fingers right here. If you have any clumps of soil, make sure to break it up. And then we're going to sprinkle the kale seed in that row. We have all this space, so the next row over is gonna be about 4 to 6 inches, right? So we're gonna create another row, okay? And then we're gonna create another row. So I think I'll be able to get 1, 2, 3, 4 rows of kale in this raised bed right here, right? Just using my fingers just to create a little trench. We're not going very deep. So now it's time to sprinkle the seeds in. And we wanna just kind of get a little pinch of seeds and we're gonna sprinkle it down the row. We don't wanna drop all of the seeds in one area. Again, when you're sprinkling the seeds, you don't wanna be too high up. If you're high up, there's small seeds and a wind blows, it's gonna blow your seed away. But if you're too low down, you're gonna have a tendency to drop it all in one area. So just a couple of inches above, and you're just kind of sprinkling probably around 50 to 60 seeds down this trench. Pretty close together because we're going for baby leaves. If you were going big kale, if you're growing big kale, we would be spacing these seeds much further apart. All right, so we're done. When I cover them, I'm just gonna lightly sprinkle the soil over it because again, we don't wanna bury it too deep. And then over that row, just slightly press the soil down so that there's good contact with the seed and the soil. Feathering it lightly, just light pressure. And just pressing right on that row. Once they come up, you'll see them coming right down the row. So our seeds are planted in our raised container. They're buried under the soil. So now, to get them going, we have to make sure we water them in. We're just gonna slowly and gently water in our seeds. These seeds are really shallow and we don't want them to come out of the soil or have a heavy stream on them and even get buried deeper. Until the seedlings emerge, you want to keep the surface of the soil moist, because remember, the seeds are very shallow. They're only about 1/8 to 1/4 inch deep into the soil, and you want to keep that part of your soil still moist. If you get too much rain and your seeds don't emerge or they get washed out, there's no harm in having to replant again. Just get your seed packets, put some more seeds in the ground, and look forward to that harvest. So in the meantime, I've actually planted some kale seeds over here on this side of the container about 15 days ago. So let's check in on that. So this is our baby kale. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 rows. And this is what they look like halfway into their growth stage. See how it's nice and dense? We've got different leaf shapes. We've got the lacinato kale here, got red Russian, got some Siberian kale. We've got maybe another 15 more days before we can start harvesting this for baby leaf. And baby leaf is generally about 6 to 8 inches. So these plants should be about this tall when we start harvesting them. If you wanted, you can actually kind of taste some of them right now. Really tender, super fresh. But if I cut it at this stage, I'd run out of kale really fast. So we want to grow it a little bit longer. So in 15 more days, we'll have some beautiful baby kale to harvest. I can't wait to see you then. Welcome back. Here we are, and this is our kale 30 days after we've planted them. They have quadrupled in size. We started these 30 days ago from seed. Can you believe the growth that happened in 15 days from when we last checked on it? This kale was a variety pack. We had maybe 3, 4 different types of kale in this pack. There are definitely some varieties that grow faster than others. So these kind of bigger, rounder leaves. This is a Siberian kale. They grow faster. We've got some red Russian and some Italian black kale, AKA lacinato kale. And they're ready to harvest because, you know, we're at a really good leaf size. This is about 3 to 4 inch leaf size. So let's get into it. So just gonna separate my row right here. What's important is we wanna cut it about 2 inches up from the level of the soil because the kale grows out from the middle and there's a central growing point that we want to preserve. If you cut it too low, it won't grow back. Might have to just pull one up for a demonstration. So this is the kale plant. This is the point where it continues to grow. See, this is a new little leaf coming up. We cut a couple of inches. You want to cut at this point. So this is the soil, and this is where I'm going to cut, right here. So you just get your scissors, kind of get yourself a nice little bunch together. Kind of hold it like you're getting ready to make a ponytail, but not too tight, a loose ponytail. And you just cut. Nice little kale bunch. Continue on down the row. Just grab up a bunch. Okay. Let me do this last cut. Okay, first kale harvest done. Aren't you proud of yourself? I am. Some of our leaves will have some holes in them. So when you're growing organically, the bugs love your vegetables. There's nothing wrong with your kale leaf if you see holes in it. I mean, the bug just took a bite. It doesn't have any disease. It's not gonna hurt you. This one's got a little hole in it. This one doesn't. It's just more cosmetic. They're both tasty. They're both delicious. They're both nutritious. So we're gonna continue to harvest. I think I need some more, so I'm gonna go in on the second row. As you're harvesting and you get to the end over here, because remember we still have 3 more rows, right? We'll harvest those rows. By the time you are finished with this harvest and you come back here, you'll be ready to cut again. If you harvest it all at one time, just have to wait a week or two before it all regrows back. All depends on how much kale you're eating. In this chapter, you learned all about how to grow your own baby kale from seed, how you can get this beautiful harvest in just 30 days. I've got a beautiful harvest here. This is more than enough for my salad tonight. I am gonna leave these and I'll probably come back in a couple of days, maybe tomorrow if I want a smoothie. I hope you enjoy this. Grow all the kale your heart desires, and I'll see you next time.